StraiGhtAllDay.com.
You are now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together to a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, techniques, and mindsets, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called work on your game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic, we're going to talk about book writing. For this episode, we're going to talk about it again in the next episode, and we're going to talk about it again in the episode after that. So we're going to do a quick 3-part series here on book writing because I get asked about this a lot, which makes sense. You should ask me about this, and we're going to talk about it. So today, things you need to know before writing a book. Any of you who is writing a book, you can just apply this retroactively since you already started. Any of you who is thinking about writing a book, apply this when you start writing your book, or take this into account before you start writing. And any of you who has written a book, you can check yourself on these since your book has already been written, or if you're planning on writing another book, then use this when you write that next one. So before I get into this, first of all, let me tell everybody that I send out a daily motivation text every single day, free of charge, straight to your phone. If you want to receive that text that is guaranteed to keep you focused, sharp, and on point, by the way, text me at the following number, 305-384-6894. Again, that number is 305-384-6894. You'll be getting that text free of charge straight to your phone every single day, daily motivation. Now, this topic, things to know before writing a book. A lot of people ask me questions about book writing since I have written 29 books. I've actually written more than 29 books. I just haven't, I don't have them all out right now, and I don't market and promote and talk about all of them all the time. I don't have them all in my funnels, but by the end of 2022, that number will be bigger than it is right now. We'll just say that. And I've talked about book writing on some episodes of this show. Let me give you a few of them. These are all listed down below in the show notes, so any of you want to check these in case you didn't know about it. In episode 1893, the book business, we talked about traditional versus self-publishing and everything else. Episode 1417, how to write and publish a book. Episode 1012, 6 very good reasons to write a book. Episode 1007, simple tips for writing a book productively. Episode 1004, why I went the major publisher route for my book, Work on Your Game. So I've seen both the traditional and the self-publishing route, and I'm going to give you some things to know in today, tomorrow, and the next day's episodes when it comes to book writing, book publishing, book marketing, book selling. And you thought those are all one thing? No, they are not. That's why we got to break this up into multiple episodes. That's why there's some things that you need to know that you probably didn't even know that you needed to know. Well, let's get into it. Point number 1. Today's topic, once again, things to know before you write a book. Number 1, there are many ways to write a book. There are people out there right now who have software or programs or courses that will help you write an ebook in 7 days. You have your ebook done by the end of the weekend. And there are other people who write books with a pen and paper the quote unquote long way. I heard that Barack Obama, he has a couple of books, and his books are actually pretty thick. And I heard that he writes his books with pen and paper, and then it gets transferred into typeset and all that stuff. I don't know if that's true. I haven't met Obama, but I heard that he does his pen and paper. And there are other people. There are people like me. I do mine mostly by keyboard. There are people who do it by audio. They text to type, or they speak to text. And then they clean it up and they do it that way. So there are a lot of different ways to get books done. Some people take years to write a book. Some people write their book over the weekend, like some of these programs that are out there. None of these is necessarily right or wrong how you get the book done. The main thing for any aspiring authors out there, especially those of you I come across a lot of people who, when they find out that I have written books or even written one book, they'll say something like, well, I want to write a book. And I say, well, what's stopping you from writing it? Why haven't you done it yet? The main thing is you just need to get the writing done. Number one thing you need to know before you write a book is the hardest part of it is just writing the damn book. Actually getting all the words written and all your ideas, everything you want to say, have it down on paper, digitally or physically. Ideally, for you to get this done, to achieve this step, here's the only thing you need to do. You need to create a routine for writing. If you're going to write a book, there needs to be a routine in place for writing. For example, actually, let me back up before I get to that. When it comes to the writing, where are you going to write? Like the actual physical location where you're going to sit down and write. Are you going to go to Starbucks every day with your laptop and your charger and your coffee? Are you going to go sit outside in the park? Are you going to be typing on your phone? Are you going to sit at the desk at home? Are you going to wake up at 4 a.m. before the kids and the spouse get up and type in silence? Are you going to write at night before you go to sleep? Where are you actually going to write? What is the time going to be when you're doing the writing? What days of the week are you going to write? What kind of environment does it need to be? Do you like it to be a whole lot of stuff going on so you're inspired by the environment? Do you need absolute silence and quiet and solitude? Do you need to eliminate all distractions? Do you want distractions? All of these things need to be set up in place for you to have a routine so that you can write on a consistent basis. You're listening to a person, I talk about routines all the time. Episode 2013 of this very show. Let me make sure that was the right episode. In episode 2013, I talked about the same things the same way every time. It's all about having routines and habits and processes and following things, again, as it says, the same things the same way every time. For this very show, for those of you who are watching on video, you probably notice that the environment is exactly the same every single time. And if the environment ever changes, it's either a brief aberration or it's because I've changed the entire environment and every episode is going to be like that moving forward. But the way that one of the keys for me getting this show out every single day and the consistency of the quality, the consistency of the format, the consistency of the audio is that there is a routine in place for how, when, and where I record the show. If that routine was not in place, then I couldn't be as consistent as I am. Any of you if you're in good physical fitness, good physical shape, there's a routine for how you take care of your body. You probably go to bed and wake up around the same times. You probably have a routine for what you do when it comes to working out and taking care of your body. You probably have routines for what you do with what you put in your body or what you don't put in your body. And for those of you who are having challenges and you're having a lot of up and down and you're having a lot of variation when it comes to your fitness and when it comes to your health, it's probably because you don't have routines in place or you have very unhealthy routines that are routinely putting you in a bad space. It's the same thing when it comes to your mindset, same thing when it comes to your finances, same thing when it comes to your relationships, same thing when it comes to every other area of your life in which you want success. If you have routines and you do the same things the same way every time, you are either getting consistently good results or consistently bad results. Now, for those of you who don't have routines in place in certain aspects of your life, this is exactly why you are not getting consistent results. If you want consistent results, you must have consistent inputs. I mean, that makes 100% sense. Logically, everybody would agree with that. And while most people agree with it, many people listen to it. It goes in one ear, right out the other, and they go right back doing the same random stuff. And then they wonder why they're not getting results, why they're not having consistent results, because they're not being consistent in their efforts. When I read through my text messages, and right now I'm opening up my text app and look at all the texts that I get. My number 305-384-6894. I got about 25 unresponded to text messages right now that I'm going to reply to later on today. But the thing is, I often, when I ask people, what's your biggest challenge? What's going on right now that you're trying to work on? Often the challenge is something around consistency. I'm not being consistent enough. I'm not being disciplined enough. I know the things that I need to do, Dre, but I'm just not doing them. This is the challenge that many people have. But let me tell you, I'm not just here pointing this out to make you feel bad. I'll tell you that I wrote a book to help you solve it. It's right here. It's called The Third Day, The Decision That Separates the Pros from the Amateurs. If you want to get this book, I'll give you a free copy. All you're going to do is cover the shipping. Just go to thirddaybook.com. That link is down below in the show notes. But we're talking about writing books here. The whole point is, for you to get your book done, that's the biggest thing you got to do. Is the biggest hurdle for every author is to finish actually writing. And the way to finish writing is you must have a routine for how, when, where, and what you are writing. I've been able to write as many books as I have written. That's 29 books as of this recording. And it's not really 29 books. I've really probably written about 40 books. But anyway, we'll just say 29 books officially, along with all the articles that I write. And any of you who gets my emails, you know that I'm sending out articles so often that many of you probably can't even keep up with everything that I write. And if you read even on social media, if you look at the captions with a lot of stuff that I post, there's damn near an article on everything I post on social media, notes for this show. Because the reason I'm able to do this is not because of any magic trick, folks. It's because I write every day. The reason that I can keep up the prolificacy, I think that's a word, and we'll just make it a word. That's a new work on your game word if it was not a word before today. The reason I'm able to be prolific with my writing output is because I write every day. I write when I'm on flights. I write when I'm sitting in the airport at the terminal. When I get a good idea, I will at least write down the idea so I remember to come back to it and I can write about it when I'm ready to sit down and write. But whenever something happens that I know I can make material out of, or something that I want to express, something happens and I'm like, damn, you know what? I want to talk about that. I will talk about it here on this mic, or I'll talk about it in written material. That's it, one or the other. I'm going to talk about it and I'll figure out, is this more of a video type topic, or is this a podcast type topic, or is this a writing it down in written format type topic? And sometimes it's all three. But whenever I get a good idea, I at least write it down if I can't sit down and write right there on the spot. I made a habit out of writing, and I've been writing for online since 2005. If you want to write a book, or you plan to write multiple books, you must have a habit for writing. If you want to be in shape, you got to have a habit for taking care of your body. If you want to make money, you got to have a habit for how you're making money, how you're watching money. Also, in my experience, folks, writing creates a more intimate experience than video. Just in case you were wondering, should I make an online course or should I write a book? I would say you probably should do both, because to read someone's book, you're just getting more intimate with that person. And when someone is talking, a lot of the words, and we can speak a lot faster than we can write. So when you're writing something, you have to be a lot more detailed. You go over every single word with a fine-tooth comb when you write something down, because those words are going to live on for a long time. Whereas a video, you look at a book that you buy from the bookstore, you don't really care when it came out. As long as it's new to you and it'd be valuable to you, you'll buy it, right? But a video that somebody put out a year ago might not be as relevant to you simply because it came out a year ago. Even though a book that came out 5 years ago, you'll buy it right now. A lot of times you'll get a book, you don't even know when it came out, and it doesn't matter, right? Because it's new to you. So the written word just has a different weight in the mind of humans than the spoken word, at least on video. So if you want to go get intimate with people, and you want to go deep with people, and you feel like you are deep enough to get intimate with people, when it comes to sharing your ideas and your views, definitely do the writing, and you have to have a habit for doing this. Video is easier to do than writing, but video is also more disposable than writing. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is things to know before you write a book. Number 2, outlines will help. So now you say, Dre, all right, I get it. I need to finish the book. I get it about having a habit. All right, now I got my habit in place. Now I'm sitting down at the computer, Dre, staring at a blank screen or staring at a blank pen and paper. What do I actually write? Well, this is why you got to have an outline. Whenever I write a book, the way that I usually start off writing my book is by laying out all the headers of all the things that I want to say about the overall topic. So I can even look at this book right here that I have in front of me, The Third Day. If you just look at the table of contents in this book, you can see the outline that I had in place. This outline is basically me codifying what I'm going to tell you about the third day. So we start with the introduction and we have the decision. What does the third day mean? How I found it. Motivation is for amateurs. Being is more important than doing. Your discipline anchors. A pro is always a pro. Pacing a marathon. Lames get lucky. Pros repeat their success. Opportunity is always in the opposites. Then go on to part 2, the disclaimer. No rewards, no penalties. Why does it even matter then? The crux of the third day. Starting over on the first day. The payoff. Then on to part 3, and so on and so on. I did that whole outline layout, the whole table of contents that you see in my book, The Third Day, or any of my books for that matter. I laid that part out before I actually did the writing. So then when it was time for me to sit down and write, following my habits and routines, all I had to do was write about what I already know. That header just gave me the prompt for what I wanted to say. So you lay out all the headers and the outline of what you want to say. Then when it's time for you to write, all you got to do is jump in and say, all right, now today let me write everything I got under this point. Let me write everything under this point, everything under this point, and then you just go on until you're done. I just go to work every time it's time for me to write, fleshing out each header and explaining what I want to explain. This morning, for example, as a matter of fact, I thought it was last night while I was like half asleep and half awake, that there's a certain subject that I've talked about here on the show in the past that I decided I'm going to write a book out of this subject. I won't tell you what it is, but I wrote it down today. I made a Google Doc for it and everything. And I'm going to write about that. I'm going to write it out. And I already have my headers. I already know what my headers are going to be for that one. So now when it's time for me to sit down and write, all I had to do is sit down and write. I don't have to think of an idea. Because sometimes that's another step that sometimes people overlook. So the idea is already in place. All I had to do is flesh out the thing that I already prompted myself with by writing it down. Just go to work by fleshing out what I've already told myself I need to explain. So the outline creates structure. That's what the outline does, create structure for you. It prompts you for material so that you're never staring at a blank page or a blinking cursor, which is where a lot of time gets wasted. It keeps things organized because you already know I need to talk about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can always add stuff and move material around later on if you figure that you realize that, oh, you know what, between idea number 4 and idea number 5, there's another thing I need to share there, so that number 4 and number 5, something that will glue those 2 points together, there's another piece that I forgot about, let me add that in right here. So that will become chapter 5. We'll move chapter 5 down to chapter 6. You can always move things around that way when necessary. If you figure that one idea maybe needs to go in front of the other, or maybe I need to explain this part before I explain this part, so then you rearrange as necessary. I did a lot of that with the third day. I did a lot of that with my book, Work on Your Game. I did a lot of that with a lot of my books. And sometimes I might share one point, then share another point, and then say, you know what, maybe this one should go in front of that one. I think people got that part first, then they'd be more ready for this part. So again, you're the author, you're the artist. You get to design how things go, but you want to make sure that you're looking at it from the perspective of a person who does not have your knowledge. So this is all part of the art of writing your book. Point number, so we talked about the structure and science of it, the routines and just having a habit. Then we talked about the art, which is you deciding how you're going to put things in the outline of the material. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is things to know before you write a book. Number 3, writing is only step 1 of 4. And I know many of you didn't notice. Writing a book is only the first step. You still got 3 more things you have to do. Writing is one step. Finishing the writing is another step. And yes, those are 2 different things. Then the marketing and the selling of your book is the next thing. Then the next thing after someone reads your book, usually, which is something bigger than just the book itself. Those are 4 specific steps of the writing process, or the authoring process, let's call it. Not the writing process, but being an author. So write the book, finish the book, market the book. Then what's the next thing people should do after they've read your book? Because somebody can probably read your book in a week. What else do you want to give them? How can they go deeper into your world after they just spent the last week reading your book, especially if they like it? So that could be a course that you're selling. It could be a coaching program, whether you want to get a speaking gig, you want to get a consulting contract. For me, the writing is the most daunting part of this 4-step process because it takes the most time, and writing has very little ROI until or unless it is done. Like, you don't get paid for just doing the writing unless, actually, there's one place you get paid for doing the writing is when you have a traditional publishing deal. You hand in that final manuscript and it's accepted. That's usually when they release whatever is remaining of your advance or something like that. But other than that, you don't make any money. And as a matter of fact, you still had to recoup that advance. So you didn't really get paid. You did get paid, but you didn't really get paid because nothing's been sold just yet. Now, you don't really make any money until something gets sold. So the writing process, you don't get paid for that. You get paid for getting someone to actually buy your book. But the whole point is marketing. That's something that goes on forever. That's not a finite task when it comes to writing a book. So this book, the third day, the marketing of this book, there's never a point where I can say, all right, I'm done marketing the third day. I'll never have to talk about it or promote it ever again. I mean, I can choose to do that, but in order for people to keep getting that book, that job will never end. That job is going to go on infinitely of me talking about marketing and promoting that book. But at least in the marketing aspect, you're interacting with human beings, which can be much more engaging than just interacting with a blank computer screen or even a filled up computer screen. Writing is just you and the pages by itself. And point number 4, today's topic, once again, things you should know before writing a book. Number 4, if your goal as a writer is to help or otherwise impact other people, then understand the marketing and the selling of your book is just as important, if not more important, than the writing of the book. This is an important point that I'm going to repeat. If your goal as a writer or an author is to impact people, then the marketing and selling of the book is just as important, if not more important, than the actual writing of the book. Because you have to influence people to take the necessary action to actually go and get your book. Even if you're giving a book out for free, or you're giving it away, somebody can just go download it, you still have to sell that. You have to sell people on action. See, selling is not just about exchanging money with people. Hopefully you're exchanging money. But selling is about moving someone to an action that they otherwise wouldn't be taking if it wasn't for your influence. That is selling. So even if you're giving away something for free, you still have to sell it. The marketing and selling job of book writing, we'll talk about this later, is how you get your work into the hands of other people. We'll talk about it in a future episode in this little series here. Do not take the process of selling for granted. Absolutely don't take it for granted. This is actually the most important part, because people will just go get your book, that people will just go get your book just because you wrote it. There are a lot of authors out there there are a lot of floundering authors out there right now today who have written a book. They have it up on their website, or they publish it on Amazon, or they put some post on Facebook that they have a book out, and nobody's buying their book. Nobody's reading their book. Even if they're trying to get away for free, nobody's going to get in the free book, simply because they had a false belief in their head that just because they wrote a book, that the world would beat a path to their door to read it. This is 100% incorrect. Nobody cares about your book. It is your job to make people care about it, not because they want your book, but because they want what they will get from the book. And again, in the next couple episodes in this series, we're going to talk about this a little more. So let's recap. Today's class was the first of a 3-part mini series on book writing. Things to know before writing a book. Again, see down below in the show notes for more episodes where I've talked about book writing. Number 1, there are many ways to write a book. You got 7-day ebooks. You got writing with pen and paper. Nothing is the right or wrong way. The whole goal is to get it done. The key to getting it done is you must have a habit and a routine. Same things the same way every time. The reason I've been able to write so much, whether it comes to internet content, captions on my social media posts, and all the books that I've written, it's because I write every day. I have a writing habit. Every single day I am writing. So you need to have a habit of writing, depending on how much you want to put out and how soon you want to get it done. Point number 2. Have an outline. Outlines will help keep you organized. They will keep you from staring at a blank page and wondering what to write because you already got the outline in place. All you have to do is follow your own plan, and because the outline is basically a plan and a process and a system for you to get the writing done. And you can move things around as necessary later on. And point number 3, writing is only step 1 of 4. Next step is to finish the writing. Then is the marketing and selling. And then is the next thing after someone reads your book. What's the next thing that they could or should do with you if they liked your book? So for me, writing is the most daunting part because it takes a lot of time and you get no return on investment from the actual act of writing. With marketing, you get a return on investment because you can give people your book and they can give you money. There's something tangible you can show for that. But the writing itself is just you and the page by itself. Number 4, if your goal as a writer is to impact other people, then the marketing and selling of your book is just as important, if not more important, than the actual writing. I mean, the horse has to come before the cart, but that cart matters a whole lot. Because you have to influence people to take action to go get your book once you have it. Just having a book alone does absolutely nothing for no one, including yourself, the author. You want to do something for someone with the writing of your book, you must actually get someone to go get it. People will not go get your book just because you wrote it. There are so many books on Amazon. I don't even know how many books are on Amazon these days. I might have to, let's see if I can Google it. How many books are on Amazon right now? I'm asking Google. It says there are now well over, I don't know when this article came out, it says here, there are now well over 6 million Amazon Kindle ebooks. And this other article here from this website called Just Publishing Advice, it says the first Kindle ebooks appeared on 2007. That year there were 88,000 books available. And that number just seems to keep getting bigger and bigger every year. So the number of Kindle ebooks in 2021 estimated, again, I don't know when this article was written, the number was 9 million. Every year the number's going up by about 100,000. Let's see. Popularity of ebooks, stores been asked many times. Amazon keeps the information private, so they don't tell people exactly how many books there are, but there are a lot of books. Let's just say that there are a lot. So looking at this, it says around 1 million new ebooks are published on the Amazon Kindle, but it cuts off before it tells me the time frame that it's referring to. And here, this says Amazon is the largest book retailer in the world. They carry over 33 million titles and ship them pretty much anywhere in the world. So any of you out there who thinks that just because you wrote a book, everybody's going to go buy it. Okay, you and 33 million other people are thinking the exact same thing, and you are all wrong. Actually, not all 33 million. It's about a few thousand who actually understand what I'm talking about here today. Yes, I said a few thousand, not the whole 33 million. So you have a chance to jump ahead of a bunch of people as long as you understand what I'm going to share here today, tomorrow, and the day after. So all that being said, 2 things for you to do right now. Number 1, text me to get my daily motivation text free of charge every day straight to your phone. My number is 305-384-6894. And secondly, you ready to go to the next level with me to where we can make sure you have that plan and that routine in place when it comes to writing your book, building your business, getting in shape, whatever it is you're looking to do as a professional. Because I don't work with dabblers. I work with people who are serious about taking their game where they want to go. Join me and workonyourgameuniversity.com. There at workonyourgameuniversity.com, you got two options. You can join at the university level, where you'll get my monthly bulletproof bulletin straight to your mailbox, along with 8 other bonuses that I just threw in there. You can go look at those right now. And the second level, it's the highest level, is when you join my Bulletproof Mastermind. That's where I do a live training. Every single week, you get access to every course that I've ever created and more bonuses than I can even count. I put so many bonuses in there, you won't even believe it. So basically, all digital self-learning stuff I've ever made is in there. As a member of the Bulletproof Mastermind, you get access to that. All of that, all your options. You can see everything by going to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Workonyourgameuniversity.com. Tomorrow, we get into more of the book writing process. Work on your game. Dre all day.